Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. Welcome to the Homeschool Nation show. Joining me today is my co-host and first interviewee,
Demeli.
Demeli. She forgot her name there for a second. Demeli. All right, this is the first official video, so let's get started. All right. So let's jump into this. I mean, this is going to be our first interview. You happen to be the first person we're interviewing. Like I was telling you earlier, you're welcome to ask yourself questions and you're welcome to answering them. In fact, I might leave halfway through the show and just let you take over completely. All right? You got to make sure you ask hard questions. All right. But for real, let's jump into this. Let's talk about homeschool, which is what this channel is about. Right? And for those of you guys that are tuning in to this being your first video, we would definitely watch the intro video so that you guys can kind of understand. It's really quick. It's probably less than 2 minutes. So you can kind of understand kind of what this is about, what we're doing here. But let's jump into the actual show. So Demeli, I wanted you to be the first interviewee because I feel that you have a lot to say about homeschool, right? You've been doing it for a long time. Some say that you're a pro. Some say that you're a pro at homeschooling. So let's start from the beginning, right? Back in 1950. I mean, no, wait a minute. Wrong person. Okay. So for the interview, you didn't start with homeschooling, right? From what I can remember. You started going to school, like traditional school, right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
You do. What do you remember about going to traditional school?
Well, I remember waking up every morning at 7 o'clock and getting to class. And it was for that year, since I only went to traditional school for preschool, It was really easy going. I wasn't really learning too much. It was more of arts and crafts and,
Yeah. Do you remember the teacher?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know if you remember. We were driving a couple months ago. Actually, we saw her. I don't know if I pointed out to you or if it was you did. Remember? What was her name again?
Miss Acosta.
Miss Acosta. Wow. Yeah. I remember she was really nice. She was definitely nice. What else do you remember from your first year?
Well, that year I didn't make many friends, and
wait, why do you think, or why? I mean, because you've never been a quiet person. I mean, you're here doing this podcast. We're putting it out there to the world. It's not like you're a quiet kid. Why do you think that is?
Well, because it was my first year of school, and the first year of school, everybody is always nervous, and it was hard too.
Sorry, sweetie, not me. I was like number one in school. I was like Justin Bieber in school. Just kidding. God, no, it was awful. That was awful. Memories. No, that was nice. Yeah. So then let's move on then, because you're right. I mean, it's preschool. It's the first day, first year of school. But is that it is your only year that you technically went into a traditional setting, right?
Yes.
I will tell you as a parent, the few times I remember being able to take you, because obviously it's mainly your mom. It's always your mom. Your mom is like everything. She really is. So, but the couple times that I got to take you with your mom, let me back up. The first time we took you, of course, like every good parent, we cried. I remember we cried. And then we dropped you off, and then we felt freedom. We felt freedom for like a couple hours, and then it was like a weird turmoil of like feelings. Because then I remember being at home, and I actually remember asking to be off that day, and we went home, and we were in this really, really small place, this small duplex, and we're just like, man, this is so weird. She's gone. I remember like when I forget sometimes when I really sit down and think about it was kind of weird. We were there very promptly. We were there like so early. It was ridiculous. We were literally living in front of the school, if you remember that. It was like across the street, and your mom's like, we gotta go. We gotta beat traffic. We're like, we were there. We got there, and I remember we're like peeking through the doors like creepers, like, oh my god, look at that. And I want to say that you were fine. I mean, I don't necessarily remember. I don't think you cried. I think you were fine. That's what I'm saying, that you were always you've always been a very outgoing kid. But I remember we were creeping in and we were expecting you to be devastated from not seeing your parents, and you were there.
Freedom.
Freedom. You're like, God, good riddance.
Couldn't wait to get away.
Damn, Demi. Yes, I guess so. The feeling was mutual. The feeling was mutual, of course, until you ran into our arms, and then we were like, "Oh, don't go ever again." But you're right. I mean, it was preschool, right? You know, shapes, colors. I think, right? Whatever you guys learn in preschool. And then came first grade. Now, do you remember first grade? Or well, kindergarten. I'm sorry, I'm jumping here. Kindergarten. Do you remember actual kindergarten?
Well, I don't remember much of it, but I do remember one project we did a cherry blossom tree and it got into the Del Mar Fair here in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. That's all I remember of kindergarten.
That's all you
I don't
remember?
even really remember my teacher. I remember more preschool than kindergarten.
Now, hold on. Maybe I'm jumping around here, but it was kindergarten, Mount Everest?
Yes.
Mount Everest. And that was our first experience, I think, as a family with kind of like homeschool, right? Because I remember you went there once a week, right? Or was it twice a week?
Once a week.
Once a week. And it was, I mean, now in hindsight, I mean, I think it's not that far, but I remember it was so far.
Yeah. 15 minutes was super far for
Yeah,
us.
it used to be. And then we were in Oklahoma for a while and we're like, oh, this is not bad. Yeah, so your mom used to drive, I remember. I remember the twins, the other kids. People will find out about the twins later. I remember them really taking advantage of that playground, or specifically the Demeli more than anyone. That little playground outside, I remember that. So you did that. I remember that teacher was really nice too. I remember
She was.
I believe we liked her. We liked her quite a bit. She was real nice. But she was only there. What was it, half the year, or what happened? Didn't she have to leave or something?
Yeah, she had to leave because of an injury on her back, and another substitute came in, which was not the highlight of.
Yeah, it wasn't.
First grade.
It wasn't. We'll only mention great teachers. JK, just kidding, just playing. No, but yeah, I mean, she was a substitute, and she came in halfway through the year, or maybe towards the end or something. But yeah, you're right. We definitely still believe that. I'm pretty sure she did what she could, but I remember that lady. She was real nice. Great kindergarten teacher. And then we moved on to first grade, right? What do you remember about first grade?
The kindergarten teacher stayed the whole year, and then the first grade teacher was the one that had to have the substitute come in.
Oh, okay. See, I'm all over the place. So, okay, so the kindergarten stayed the whole year. And then did she become your first grade then? She became your first grade teacher?
No, she stayed.
She stayed. Gotcha. And then it was a first grade teacher that had to leave.
Yes.
So how do you think, I mean, obviously you're still talking about kindergarten, first grade, still important years of school, of first five, right? They say. So still very important years of your school life. Do you feel that you lost out, or do you feel, even thinking back then, right? You're a kid and whatnot, that's fine. But how do you feel that having a teacher drop off, just like that, like impacted, if you may say, what you did learn or didn't learn? Like, do you remember it enough where it like affected you? Like, man, like.
Yes, I do. The first grade teacher, she kind of already knew my style of learning, and she got used to all the kids and how the person they were and how they learned best, and she was able to tailor to our needs and the way we learned.
Right.
And then the substitute comes in, and she doesn't really know. She's not really experienced with my specific class, and it kind of just throws everything off from one day to another.
Yeah.
And she stays, I believe she stayed for the rest of the year, and it was just, it was not the same anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I remember your mom being a little bit upset over a couple things that the substitute didn't do as well as the original teacher. I remember that. But I agree. I mean, I think that there are teachers, which, man, I want to get ahead of myself here and talk about all these great things we're doing right now and great teachers that we're going to bring on and interview, but breaks, okay? But I guess to peek a little bit into that, without giving too much away, yes, there are some teachers that are just meant to be teachers. I mean, I'm just going to say like that, right? And You know what? I gotta say, what was her name? I keep saying the teacher, the teacher. What was the teacher? Do you remember her? The name of the first grade teacher that had to leave?
Oh, Mrs. Finney.
Mrs. Finney. Yes, Mrs. Finney. Yeah. Those are, in my opinion, people that are just meant to be teachers, right? That they are great teachers. I remember meeting Mrs. Finney a couple times. I'm horrible with names, but I do remember meeting her. I remember her very vividly. She was real nice. She was definitely very interactive. I remember filming a couple of your it was like presentations or something, and yeah, she was so much more engaging than I remember this. I definitely remember the substitute teacher. But yeah, I guess that's what it is. But let's move on. Let's move on to year number 2. How memorable was year number 2?
Well, not to spoiler alert, but I only had half of year number 2 with Mount Everest. I had to be cut off halfway semester
right.
because after that we moved.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
it.
God,
I only got
about that.
I only got half of kindergarten, and that was okay. The teacher was able to come back then, but it was only for a short period of time.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're so right. That's the year removed. That's the year removed. God, man, it feels like so recently, but so long
it does,
ago,
right?
doesn't it? Yeah. So you're right. We move year number 2. We go to Oklahoma, right? And your mom finds kava. I guess before the show we should have gotten notes about how she found kava. But I remember she was desperately looking for, because I remember she kept bugging me about homeschool programs. And I remember she was freaking out about that because she was like, man, one thing that I think we've always known, to be fair, your mom has always known, and I just support her because, your mom has an educational background and she just knows better at this than I do. She always wanted you guys to be in homeschool. So I remember the Oklahoma move we did for the business. It was big, and it was a little, I remember it was impacting because we're like, oh my God, where are you guys gonna go to school? Where are you guys gonna go to school? If I'm not mistaken, I think you still stayed enrolled, didn't you, for a little bit? And then we send stuff back?
Yes, when we got there, I was able to finish because I think we finished mid-semester. I think we left mid for the first semester.
Yeah.
Because school started in August and we left in November. So we started half of the semester.
Yeah.
So, and for the rest of the first semester, I was able to stay and just keep sending the mail. But after the second semester, they said, that's it. I have to transfer.
Yeah, you have to transfer. Let's emphasize more on this year because that's going to be an interesting year and an interesting topic because we're probably gonna this might be actually be listened by somebody that's maybe going or will go through something similar. So from while we can't pretend to know everything, let's talk about what we had to do, right? Now you're gonna have to help me fill in the blanks because obviously this is your mom, right? You feel like your mom should be doing this show, not me, but whatever. Let's fill in this. Let's try to walk people through the story. So we go to Oklahoma. I open up a business. We had to go. It was November. By the way, don't move to Oklahoma during the winter. Holy crap. It was hard, right? So we go. You guys, we get there and we don't have to worry about school because obviously it's November, or rather it's the end of November holidays, right? But then you guys have to start school. I don't remember, and I wish your mom was on the show, even though she's in front of me over there in the dark. Was Demeli already in school?
No, she didn't enroll until I was in 3rd grade.
Okay, gotcha. So we were there, and then your mom has to figure out materials, books, or whatever to send back for you, right? And then we finally get into Oklahoma's version of Kava, right? Which is still K-12, right? What was that one called? Do you remember?
OVCA, Oklahoma Virtual Academies.
OVCA, you're right. OVCA, right? We like Oklahoma people, we like you, but Kava sounds great, right? Kava sounds awesome. But okay, so we enroll in K-12. You're there. Now thinking back, since that year, you experienced being in a somewhat traditional setting, even though it was one day a week, right, with Everest, and then transitioning pretty much fully into an online, because unlike here in Kava, another spoiler alert, which we have more or you guys have more outings more frequently and stuff like that. It was, to me, at least I remember back, it was full blown virtual, wasn't it? Right?
Yes.
So what do you remember between being 100% virtual pretty much and having that Mount Everest, like that, since you lived it, that's pretty much that same school year?
Well, it was such a big transaction and change of lifestyle. I went from having this social interaction once a week to nothing. I think it was like once or twice a year that they did an outing.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I didn't even really know anybody. It was so much of a difference because Mount Everest was all paperwork and everything was offline. And being online, I had never had experience with a computer before. We weren't really a techie family then compared to now.
Just like Alexa's everywhere. And it's just like flying Sasha. I'm just kidding. You open doors like this. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. So we weren't techie. You're right. So would you have preferred not to ever gone into like a full virtual school?
No, I love the virtual now. It's so much more flexible. I don't have to wait to an extended time. I can kind of tailor my week.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And be able to move the work and be able to just
be creative with your schedule.
Be creative, yeah. Be creative with your schedule.
That's true. Okay. So we'll fast forward. I mean, well, I guess we shouldn't. Okay. So we're in Oklahoma. You're in this, OVCA, right? OVCA. And we finished that school year. I remember we were just trying to get done with the school year. We're just like, okay, let's get done. So then you start your next year. And that one was fully OVCA, wasn't it?
3rd grade?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Full VCA. Okay. So how now that we can think back, right? You've been in Kava now for a while, but comparing now virtual school to virtual school, OVCA, if you may, versus Kava, right? Even though it's the same program, it's K-12, but still different states, different teachers.
Completely different, yeah.
So now that you've lived both of them, what's your take? You're a student, right? We don't want to think about what the difficulties that your mom has gone through or teachers or any of that, right? Let's talk about the most important subject here for this channel, in my opinion, and I think many will agree. The student. You're the student. What's your take? Kava versus the OVCA. What's the difference? Be honest.
The difference is that I'm just going to tell you straight out.
The
teachers here are much better.
They are.
They are.
No, listen, that's fair. I think that's fair and that's fine. I think this is the whole point of homeschool, the Homeschool Nation channel, is that we're going to be able to get educators, hopefully, into the ears of the educators, into the ears of the people in charge, right, of these schools or these programs, and also, give a voice to the student. And you're a student. Yes, you're a co-host here, and that's fantastic, but I want you to feel comfortable. And anybody else watching this and virtually maybe in the future joining us as an interviewee, this is what this channel's about. Giving you guys a voice. You guys are the most important subject when it comes to education, whether it be traditional or homeschool. So you have to be able to voice your opinion. You're not hurting anybody's feelings. I mean, you're not intending to, right? We're intending to just pass on pure feedback, right? So the teachers were better here. Yes. That's fine. That's a fair criticism.
Yes.
Why?
Because the teachers here are a little bit more involved.
Okay.
I can see that from what I've experienced, the teachers they really want to make an effort to your learning. They want to make an effort to your year. They want to make sure that you have a successful year. And they're always saying it themselves. So they hope that by the end of the year, we feel so much smarter and we feel so much more experienced with the whole curriculum and everything. And they really do strive.
In comparison, you feel to the OVCA teachers?
Yes.
How do you feel the OVCA teachers approached the program and approached you guys as students? How was it different than what you just described?
Well, the OVCA teachers kind of just looked at the whole class as a whole. They didn't look at us individually.
Okay.
And they were still teachers and they did their job. And at the end of the day, they're still working people. But they didn't, as teachers, they didn't really try to
one-on-one maybe?
Try to make that one-on-one connection.
That's fair. That's fair. I get it. That's fair. I mean, I'm gonna say it as a parent, what I did interact, right? Because I went to a couple of your outings. Like you guys had you're right. You only had a couple. Like I almost feels like it's literal, maybe 3 or 4. But I remember going to at least one of them at the skating rink. I think it was right. And I gotta say, as a parent, the few times that I interact with the teachers, it has been like night and day in comparison to the interaction we've had with teachers here, especially with obviously we're all thinking about one in particular. You know, wink, wink. Maybe somebody's gonna come on soon. But yeah, I mean, you're right. In comparison to that, it is night and day, right? But I'm only taking it from the parent standpoint, not from the coach, which is what your mom is, right? I can't call myself a coach. Even though you guys send me messages and hey, how was this? And I'm not a coach.
You're just like a side.
I'm a
side gig.
I'm a side cheerleader. I'm okay with that. Right? I'm your mom's cheerleader. So I'm there. That's what it is. Or if you look at it this way, mom's like head teacher. I play the role of principal. Something like that, right? Like you only get to send to the principal's office when you guys are horrible, which you guys never visit me often in that scenario. But anyways, so not as interactive, not as involved. If you could go back, or if the teachers from OVCA are hearing this, which they should, what would you go back? Not to say they haven't changed something recently, right? Because maybe they're like, oh, well, we're already doing that now. Great. But if you can somehow send a small message, what will you say to them? Right, from now that you've lived this experience and the past experience. Like if you can give them a coaching tip as a student, what would you say to them?
Well, that year really, I think it was better that the teachers were a little bit more strict and a little bit more stern that year, because that year shaped me a lot. They were my first years of online school, and they prepared me for a lot. And I didn't really need preparing, but if I did, where would I have been now?
That would have been it. Okay, I gotcha. So so good answer. But my I guess what I'm trying to ask is, if you can give them a tip, what would it be? That's what I'm asking. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Maybe just to try to make those connections with the student, even if it's to the minimum. Just try to see them as one, because if you don't, those years are not going to be memorable.
Right. I agree. Okay. Awesome. So let's move on now into your next years, right? Which is now when we've come back. You've joined Kava. Okay, we're here. We have been back with 2-3 years now, or school years, I should say.
It's gonna be school years. I don't know. I think it's gonna be 4 November.
Okay. So since you've been back, let's shout out one of the teachers that you feel, since you've been back, have made a big impact on you. Who would it be? Listen, it's okay. They're all great teachers. Yeah. All right. This is a hardballing question that I said I was gonna throw your way. I don't think anybody's going to feel bad. But you are a student, and you're giving a critique from the heart based on an impact they've made on you, right? And it's great that if you don't mention a teacher, and then the teacher's like, hey, the way I will look at it is, it's a friendly competition, right? So who would it be? Who would you say, this is a teacher that made an impact, right? That I wish she was still my teacher, kind of thing.
Well, as the homeroom, as the main teacher,
sure,
or as all, because I've had a few teachers.
Okay,
in 1 year.
So let's do a homeroom, and let's do like another one that is not the homeroom.
Okay,
right?
So the homeroom, is it not including this year?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's not include this year, to be fair, because they're still technically doing their job, right? So the assessment, if you feel, is not over yet. So let's not include this year teachers, because to be fair, they still got a lot to go, right? It's not like your school's over tomorrow. So let's not include them for this fair assessment. Let's just include the teachers that have done their job. They're done with you. Who?
Well, I've only had 4 teachers since I've been back from 4 homeroom. So I think the one that made the most impact on me was my last year's teacher, Mrs. Dowell. She was just so she hit the one-on-one limit. She really did. She made a connection, and she got to know me through the screen. I only met her once or twice, and she made my year feel like I got to know somebody else. And it wasn't just a teacher behind a screen. It was a person, and she really put a lot of effort into she did a good job tailoring the way I learned and being in, and yeah, she did.
Just good. No, I mean, again, being an educator, right? Again, I've never been an educator. I've never, other than being your mom's, support for this whole thing. From an outside, I'd say, it's fair, I think, to say, even from the outside, that is the sole purpose in a way, right? Or maybe not the sole purpose, but the primary purpose of an educator, right, is to leave that impact on as many students as you can. So if you have someone that that you can say that about, right, then that person has done their job, right? I mean, and has maybe gone beyond that. I think it's the same thing, I think, for a lot of us that are involved in our own professions, right? We're there to make an impact on our profession, on our career, and we do that by being devoted to it. And obviously, a teacher makes an impact by the level of devotion, dedication she has to her students, right? Because you guys are the prime material here. So, I mean, I think it's nice. The reason I ask that is it's nice to pay a little bit of a tribute, right? Even now, now that you're gone, now that you have nothing else to gain than to pass on great feedback to the teacher. And I think in some way, maybe that is the biggest reward some teachers might say they can get, right? Is for, because I can tell you, I went to traditional school, but I remember a couple of my teachers in the traditional school, not very many of them also, sadly, but not very many of them that made big impact, right? I can probably think of maybe four or five, and I'm just top of my mind. And I think you're right. It's because of that one-on-one. I think what made an impact for me, at least, was the one-on-one, right? We all want to sometimes say, or some people want to say that's not needed. There's so many students. But I think it is. I think whether it be in a traditional or in a homeschool setting, I mean, what you're asking or what you're saying right now and sharing is that it made an impact primarily, or a big reason was the one-on-one, right? So what about the other teachers? Not the homeroom, but the other... Is it support teachers, or what's really their role?
In at least from K-12, there's a English teacher and math teacher, and the English teacher is always a homeroom, and the math teacher is just kind of helping out there, like a
support teacher kind of thing. Not a teacher's aide, of course, because they're teachers.
Yeah,
but not.
They partner up to teach math and English.
Yes. And okay, so what about that teacher? Who would you say?
And for 5th grade, that was the one year that I had 3 teachers, because I had that year I was struggling a lot with math, and I had to take it was kind of like a tutor.
Okay, gotcha.
And that tutor was the most amazing tutor. She was the most amazing math teacher that I've ever met, because she taught me math.
Yeah. Okay.
But even in the math department, she was just who
was that again? I'm sorry.
Mrs. Rawson. And she hit the top level of all departments. She was a one-on-one teacher. She helped a lot with math when I couldn't get something. She did her best, and she went all out to make sure that I got it.
Would you say that's because of Mrs. Rawson that you are so caught up and good with math now? Definitely. Yeah, that's good. Hey, Mrs. Rawson, if you're watching this, which we hope somehow I make it to her, thank you as a parent, right? Not just as a co-host, but thank you for it's funny. I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't know that, so I'm really happy to hear that. I knew that you had some struggles, but your mom always takes care of that. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't. I know a lot of people are like, well, where is mom? She should be there. Get out of there, JT. Like, move. I tried, guys. I tried. All right. So you're gonna have to just do with me. Do good with me. But anyways, Mrs. Rawson, thank you, Mrs. Rawson. So, all right. So let's move on to this here. Dun, 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 dun. I don't remember which button here does like the noise, but I would press it. But I'm afraid now it might be clapping.
Or laughing.
Or laughing. Nope, wrong one. I know this one is Demeli's button, and I can't wait to have her on to do the. Let's try. Let's just introduce everybody. Is it gonna work? No, it's not the button. We are so. There we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the scary one. I'm sorry, guys. I just gotta try them real quick. That's the one I need right now because I just bombed it. Yeah. Sorry, guys. That's gonna be my JT button. Damn. Wah, wah. Which one's the wah, wah, wah? Do you remember? Is it this one? These are the JT buttons. For my cheesy jokes, the knock knock jokes that I will share with everybody, and then the also bombing jokes. Okay, so back to business. We are this school year. What would you say right now? You ready for this question? It's gonna be a hard one. All right. What would you say right now has been the biggest impact this school year on you that the teachers have made this school year, and why?
As a teacher?
Yeah, I mean, what has been the biggest impact, right?
That they've made? I think the biggest impact that they've made this year, it's not really learning. This is not really learning.
The material, right?
It's not really learning material, but a few weeks ago I went to an outing, and this teacher this year is the teacher that by far has tried to make a connection with me and more students. She got up and she introduced herself and she introduced some other students. There was this one really shy student, and she had her shell, and most students do because they are homeschooled, and that being homeschooled, I think whoever you are, it builds a shell on you. Right. And when you go out into the world and you try to make some friends, it just makes it really hard to do that. And she really makes an effort. I've had 2 outings, and she really made an effort to try to connect me with other students, to try to connect the shy students with the outgoing students and get everybody connected. Right. And she
broke shells.
She broke shells and broke ice.
Okay, so she broke shells. All right. So would you say that her efforts have gone in vain, or do you feel that you as a student have continued that connection now that now that you guys, hopefully, right, you say she tried to break you guys is out of your shell, do you feel that it was worth her time to have you maintain that?
Yes, I think it is, because as homeschool students, we don't really get that interaction a lot. This is the first year in K-12 or in Kava that they're required to do an outing every single month.
Yeah, your mom said that. Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. And you are you thumbs up for that, or are you like, eh?
I think that's good because as we had this program in 5th grade, and it was a weekly thing again, and it was kind of like Mount Everest, and we met for the morning, and then we would have to go home and at around noon, and they took that away. So with these outings, they're really important.
Okay.
For at least for me, I don't know about the rest of the students.
Do you feel? I mean, obviously you've talked to the students. Do you feel that they feel the same or similar to you? I mean, are they also engaging? Are they trying to talk? I mean,
some of the students are. It depends. That there's always those shy students that are gonna have a hard time to interact with people, and there's other ones that are just like holding it in and just going out there without second thinking it. I'm still that kind of student. I'm just like, I'm not gonna second think. I'm gonna do this before I second think it. Before my conscience comes back.
That's good. Listen, that's awesome, right? That's really, and hopefully that's what this channel will do for them, right? Is also help them break a little bit of that shell, leave comments, interact with each other, share. Maybe even some of them might be guests on here. That's what this is about. I think that's what those outings are also going to accomplish. It's not going to take one outing. It's going to take a few outings. So I'm really happy when I found out from your mom that it's mandatory now. It's one outing per month, right?
Per month.
Fantastic. Okay. So let's move into some of them, a little bit of the hard hitting questions before we close out the show. So, questions that I know people that I don't homeschool are probably going to ask us eventually, right? Let me pretense this by saying that, and before we get into it, is obviously we didn't practice any of this. You've been bugging me about what you're gonna ask me, and I'm gonna, it needs to be a little juicy, right? It needs to be a little bit entertaining. You need to be able to ask it without feeling like you rehearse something. So, let me start with the first question, right? You currently right now you were inaugurated into where again?
National Junior Honor Society.
National Junior Honor Society. That is awesome, right? You've had these other awards, like you've been again. What was the things? Because you mentioned like 2 or 3 things. Like you've
Honor roll.
Honor roll, and then there's one more thing about like the teacher, the principal,
the advanced learner.
Advanced
program.
learner. Okay. Yeah, you've only gone to school, traditional school. Excuse me, once, right? Kindergarten, preschool. Man, people are gonna be like, "This thumbs down this guy." Jeez, are these your children? They are. They are my children. Okay. So, do you feel that you are missing out on anything that homeschool doesn't give you? You as a student, right? Your siblings maybe don't know this because they've always been in Kava. But you at least had that 1 year. And it was like everyday traditional stuff, right? And obviously it was years ago, but you still remember, you can think back to it. I'm sure you've talked to other students. I'm sure you've maybe even read things. You have cousins, right, that are going to traditional school. In your perspective as a student, is there any of that that you feel you're missing out on because you're in this homeschool setting?
It is a hard question. Well, most of the students that I meet in outings are like, wow, at the fact that I've only had preschool, and they don't even count that as, because not everybody that goes to preschool, so they don't even count that. So they're like completely wowed about the fact that I've never gone to public school or traditional school.
Right. But if you're missing anything, don't avoid it, Demi. Are you missing anything? Do you have anything do you have to confess to us? Do you feel you're missing anything?
Mostly the socialization that I'm not gonna have as many friends as most students have.
Right.
And that's because, well, when you're a student, usually you go to school every day and you see those people every single day, and that builds relationships. Seeing somebody every day, it does. Monday through Friday, it makes an impact. And I'm here all day. So.
All day. Fair. Now, knowing that, do you think at any point you might ask us that you want to go to traditional school?
No.
Why not?
It's hard because I want that, but I'm not gonna give up all of this.
That you feel
all of this enrichment and all of this. It's this program is really perfect except for the socialization, which I can see that they're fixing it. I can see that they're trying to make that better and fix that. But I wouldn't give it up.
You wouldn't. So if today Kava shut down their doors and they're like, no more, you wouldn't ask us, okay, well, let's go pick a school. You would rather have us look for another program instead of saying, screw it, let's go to, all right, cool, good to know. All right. You're going to make your mom very happy, trust me. Because I'm going to also share some stuff with you, right? Some breaking news moments. Your mom is always wondering, like, when is she going to say that she's done, that she wants to leave me? You know, when are we going to repeat kindergarten, first day of kindergarten again? But listen, I mean, if you ever did, it's obviously something we can talk about. And ultimately, I mean, it's going to get to a point where it really has to come down to you. But at least right now, you feel not going to happen. You like what you have right now.
I have 5 more years of school.
Pretty much.
I think I made my decision. It's not like, oh, that's far. It's still far off. You can still change your mind. I think I want to keep it like this.
Well, I hope this show is going to go on for a while so we can talk about this very same moment in 3 years from now. I'm going to interview you again. Come back. Do you have you changed? So, okay, good. That was one of the more harder hitting questions, that I wanted to know here on air. How do you feel about it? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to go? What do you say to those that will tell or will say, whether in the comment section or simply just say out loud to us anywhere? Because family has done this too. What will you say? Because I know what me and your mom say, but what would you say to those that say, you don't know what you're talking about? You're missing out on so many things.
Well, I think nobody can judge. I can't judge a person in public school and say that they're not learning anything just because you're not in homeschool. I don't really know. I wasn't really learning anything in preschool. It's kind of just shapes and colors, right?
Right.
And they also can't judge the homeschoolers. They can't go on and say that we sit around our pajamas all day and do nothing.
Yeah.
And because they've never, unless they've done it before. I don't know. I guess they sat down in their pajamas all night. That's not really what it's about. Nobody can really. You can have your opinion, but you cannot really determine until you've actually lived it.
Good answer. I like the answer. That's a very, very grown-up answer of yours. Better than my answer, which I always give, which is, what do you know? Be quiet. No, I'm just kidding. I don't say that. I don't say that to people. I say something similar, unless they've lived it, you really, it's, I mean, anybody can give you an opinion. You're right about that. But, unless you lived it, I mean, really, what the hell what really do you know? You're just talking. Let's just talk. That's a good point. I do have other opinions about public schools, not all of them, which I'll share maybe later. I don't want to run this show on too long, but that's are my opinions because I did go to public school. I have friends that have their kids in public schools that have gone through things that they shouldn't be going through. Responses from principals that blow my mind. So, there are some stuff that I'm like, what? But as for, I guess for another day, we'll have a discussion about, the one that everybody I'm sure wants to hear. Homeschool versus traditional school. Here we go. Right. And to that point, homeschool, when I say homeschool, because I know your mom has tried to correct me on this. Honestly, if you're not going traditional, some might disagree in the nation, by the way, but to me, if you're not going to school traditionally, like getting up in the morning, getting the bus or getting dropped off or walking to school, and you're in a classroom with another 30-something, 20-something, maybe even 40-something, I've heard in some instances, then you are homeschool, right?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Your mom's like, no, understand that there's different levels. I get it. But that's a homeschool nation, right? No matter what type of homeschool, you're at home. You're being schooled at home, whether it be virtually or you're building your own curriculum. All are respected equally, in my opinion. They're the homeschool nation. So I have gone through traditional. I've seen homeschool. And I definitely have my strong reservations on them, right? Because having lived it, again, having people that we know very closely that tell us about the difficulties. Schools all the way from really nice areas that you were like, wow, things that I've heard, to schools in what they consider, the ghetto or whatever terms they have, less fortunate, whatever, right? Schools in areas where they don't have a lot of resources or money. And I've heard equal amount of stuff that it just blows my mind a little bit. And it shouldn't be like that, right? And it's not knocking on them. It's just like this program has stuff to fix with, like you said, more engagement, with teachers being more engaging, more outings, right? More of that. Just bring the kids together. Traditional schools also have their their things that they need to be working on, right? Their shortcomings, if you may. Okay, great. So let's close out the show. All right. And the way I want to close it out is essentially by letting people know, or excuse me, by having you let people know why they should continue watching and coming back and interacting with us, why they should help us build this homeschool nation, which we know there's really not a whole lot out there. That at least I researched, and I know you did a little bit as well. There's something that was like the Homeschool Network or something, but I didn't see anything there. There's a lot of moms, thank their hearts that have put videos out there about ideas, which we're going to do. And we hope to bring all of them under the Homeschool Nation, right? But until that happens, and hopefully that happens to us with us relatively fast, because this is a benefit to them. What will you say to the students listening to you right now, to the educators to the parents, what would you say to them about this channel? Why should they keep coming back? Why should they spread the message? What is it that you want them to know?
Well, they should keep coming back because homeschooling is, while it's growing, there, like we've seen, there aren't many
Resources or
channels.
Okay.
Kind of like what we're doing right here. There aren't many of these little organizations because it's not something that I think most people would want to do.
Okay.
I think if you're homeschooling, you're kind of like trying to hide your face from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Not to not to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but
right.
You're probably not going to want to put yourself into that position. And maybe there will be, maybe there's going to be more people like us that do things like this because it is growing. And the more people that start doing homeschool, they're going to get new ideas, and it's just going to grow into such a big community that everybody has now like a little resource center.
Mm-hmm.
But right now there isn't that many things like this. So,
well, I think we will be, at least in some extent. I think at least that's what I envision that will be, right, for the people. A great resource, for them to maybe learn something, ask questions, and of course maybe a little bit entertaining, right? I don't think we're such a boring crowd. If this is not for you, this is not for you, right? So if this is like, there's some single person out there that has no kids or anything, maybe this will be so boring. But hopefully the parents, educators, this can be an outlet, right? An outlet for us to let educators voice their opinion, whether it be, by the way, anonymously or outright with their name, maybe sitting in that chair, or when the other mics come in, talking with us, having a roundtable conversation, calling in. People are in charge in these education systems, not just teachers, that maybe they want to give their opinion as well. We welcome it, And then, of course, students. Again, I said earlier, I'll say it again, the most important of them all, the student that can call in with parental consent and, maybe give an opinion, help us spread the word. What is it that we should have on this channel? This is for you guys. Like, if you guys are out there, you guys can continue doing whatever you're doing between games and other YouTube channels and other Facebook pages, and that's fine and all. But if you wanted a resource, an outlet, a stage, welcome. This is it. Welcome to your stage, to your resource, to your outlet. So I couldn't have put it better than you, Demi. So great. That was a great. I think that was a great interview. I like that you gave me some straightforward answers. I like that you had to think about them a little bit. I saw your eyes from this angle, kind of like, I don't want to say this, I want to say that. So that's fine. I'm not gonna push you. So what do you think we should do next? Who do you think we should interview? A parent or a teacher? Obviously, we have the twins, right? That they are eager to come up here as well, and we'll have them on. But who do you think should be our next interviewee? Who do you think we should bring on as a guest? A teacher, a parent, both? Let this little scrimmage go off. Let a little scrimmage, with an inside joke, but a little, who do you think we should have next?
Well, now that you've had a student here, I think the best option would be a teacher.
A teacher? Okay.
Because I think that the parent or the learning coach or whoever is guiding you along in this whole homeschool journey, they're kind of on the same side. It's like the teacher and the parents and the student.
Right.
So the parent and the student kind of have like a similar viewpoint and a standpoint. And the teachers, I think that's gonna give it a whole another different. It's gonna open a whole another different door.
Open up a can of worms. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's something different. So I think a teacher will be
interesting. I think we know who it's gonna be. Right? We don't want to give anything out because what if that person doesn't want to? But I think you're right. It should be a teacher. But I definitely want to have a parent on here. I'll never convince your mom in a million years, but another parent that's willing to say, you know what, I'll tell you this about the school system. I'll tell you this, that's what we want to hear, right? Because that's another thing, by the way, real quick, is that I feel that if this, does what it needs to do, there are people, and some teachers might agree. Some teachers might agree. I know some parents will agree, and some students might see it, that there are some individuals, not all, some individuals way at the top of these school programs that definitely don't see eye to eye, maybe with maybe the teacher, the parent, right, whoever, and let's be 100% honest, they have a lot of that decision making power that not everybody agrees. So I think this might be a great platform to maybe scream a little louder, right? Sometimes a letter, an email doesn't do it, but maybe this will, right? Because at the end of the day, I'll say it one more time, the most important thing is the student, right? And with that in mind, the teachers need to be able to do their job, and parents need the best resources coming from the teacher in the school. So awesome. So, if there's other programs out there, by the way, anybody hearing this podcast, let us know. We know about K-12. We know about Mount Everest. What other programs are out there? We want to know. Let us know. Send us, we have a Twitter. We have YouTube now, obviously, this channel. And we have our Facebook page, right? Our Twitter is, again, what's the handle? They can tweet us at where?
At We Are DHN.
Which is obviously We Are the Homeschool Nation, right? So tweet us. You guys can send us something through Facebook. On Facebook, I believe it's completely the Homeschool Nation, which is great. We were able to get that handle. And then on YouTube as well, right? Find us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. I'm sorry. Send us your thoughts. Send us your opinions. We do definitely want to hear it, right? Yeah. So that'll be all, guys. Thank you for listening to this. If you've listened to the whole thing, that's awesome. We're gonna plan out the next show. Last that we did was last Sunday. Here we are again on Sunday. So the next one is probably going to be Sunday. We said it before. We're not going to let this kind of like interrupt our lifestyles. You guys have school. I have work. But if we can spare an hour of our time building this for the nation, we're going to do it until we can do this maybe full time, with a little bit of help here and there. So we can provide more information, more content, more entertainment, more of everything. So find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. If you're seeing this video through like Facebook or something, find us on, tweet us, join us, help us grow this so that we can go ahead and provide all we need to provide to the homeschool nation. Demeli, yes. Any last words?
Well, we have our runtime is 53 minutes. Just to beat that hour, let me just ask you a yes or no question. I'm
going to get a question.
We can leave you probably won't get it.
Oh my God, it's a double whammy, double interview. Okay. I got you. Go ahead.
If homeschooling was available to you when you were in your grade school.
Yes. I know what you're going to ask. Absolutely.
You take it?
Absolutely. Oh, we got it. Yes, of course I would take it. Not because my school was or my schools were horrible. But I feel from my standpoint when I went to school, which was to some of you, right? To my mom, I was like, you went to school yesterday, dude. Right? But obviously when I talk to you guys, it's like, oh, wow, you went to school in the 90s? God.
What is the 90s?
Yeah, well, it's I would say yes. There's a lot that I missed out. I feel that I am the kind of guy that I feel I have potential, right? I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I did. I feel like I had potential to do more than what I'm doing now. Thank God of where I'm at now. I'm very appreciative. I'm very thankful of where I'm at now, but I feel I had more potential, right? To do more. Do I regret what happened? No, because life is the way life is, and I guess that's more for my channel, what I'm about to say, but I wouldn't have met your mom if things weren't the way they were. I feel you guys weren't around. Maybe I wouldn't be sitting in this podcast. Who knows? So I don't regret the way things were. I wouldn't take it back, rather. Excuse me. I wouldn't take it back, but I wish there was a better education system when I grew up, and there was maybe even homeschool. Right? I don't know that my mom would have been great at it. I don't know that she would have wanted to do it, but I would definitely wish in some setting I would have had that opportunity. But the answer is yes. The simple answer. But
Okay.
wow, I wasn't expecting that, man. Maybe we should turn this around. Maybe you should plan a whole bunch of questions in it and just hit dad with questions. I wouldn't mind. I mean, it's okay. It you know. Do you consider yourself to be a great dad? Yes, of course I do. Yes, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm not gonna lie. I'm all right. I'm all right. All right, guys, that's it for today, for sure. Now, this time for reals, because we said that like a minute ago or 2 minutes ago. That is it for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching the Homeschool Nation show. That's it. That's what's going to be called now, the Homeschool Nation show. Right? Be part of the nation. Please subscribe, support the show, give us your comments. I'm ready for all of them. I'm going to be looking at all of them. Like the video. You know you want to like the video. It's right there. Just hit it. Stop it. Just do it. Subscribe. Ring the notification. The whole whammy. Don't act like you're new at this. Demi, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See ya.